I think we're live. We're
Ah,
on. Hello, Mark.
hello. Hi,
Hello.
Zach. How you doing?
I'm well. How are you? How are you?
I'm alive, and
Well, that's
we're
a good
live.
start. Good start to the day. It certainly helps. So, yeah, welcome to this episode of our podcast. We're live on Facebook and YouTube, so you can watch us if you feel the need and the desire to see what we look like with my ridiculous beard that's getting longer and longer.
Colonel Sanders look-alike.
Yeah, yeah. Should I reveal the secret recipe?
No, I
Whatever
think
you.
you'd keep that to yourself if I were you, Zach.
Yeah, definitely. And this week we're talking about paying it forward and gratitude, which is certainly something that's changed my perspective and outlook, and in turn my life, just by starting to be grateful for stuff. Um, is it something that resonates with yourself, Mark, as well?
I think it resonates with everybody. I think, to be honest with you, it's the kind of thing that we all have reasons to be cheerful, as Ian Jury said. Yeah, I think I think for most people, we took a lot of things for granted up until the pandemic, and then that kind of really made us look at ourselves. I think that was a kind of a reset button stage of the world. But yeah, lots of weird and wonderful things. I suppose from my perspective, being surrounded by family, I suppose, for the first time in a long, long time, and that's got its pluses and minuses, as I've shared. But at the same time, it's kind of you're living through moments when you think, well, they're here now,
Yeah.
and I'm closer to my daughter than I was before, so I'm grateful for that, and grateful, I think, mostly that I started to do the things that I've been holding back from. I think this is a big thing for me. So the creative side, the expressive side, and yeah, that in general I'm fit and healthy. I think all of these things we need to be telling ourselves that we're grateful for on a daily basis. But the thing that I suppose that's good to share is that the minute you realize the things you've got to be thankful for, it kind of opens you up to all kinds of things, and your whole aura, your whole being lifts. So there's that, I think, for us to consider.
Definitely.
Zach, are you
Yeah.
grateful that you have this wonderful beard that keeps you warm as
Well,
winter kicks in?
I'm certainly more grateful now than I was when it was nearly 30 degrees to have this beard. Now the autumn has properly kicked in. Yeah, my face doesn't get cold. Everything else does. But no, it's I'm actually I was talking to my son last night. He's got a fine head of hair on top, and I've got good hair. And he was saying that he's got friends at school they're 17, and some of them are going bald already. They're getting a bald patch. And I said to him, we're lucky that in my family, we've had all through the generations, we've had good hair. So whether it turns grey or not, I don't really care. It's nice to have it. Where a lot of my friends, certainly in their 20s, went bald. And it's, what we're talking about is this gratitude, and it is about being grateful for the small things. And it certainly is something that it sounds silly, but it does actually change your perspectives, because you're coming at things from a more positive outlook. I hear it a lot when I go to the supermarket or when I used to work in an office. People complaining.
It's him. That's what
moaning.
It's him. He's coming over here.
He's
Look the other way.
Yeah, don't near him. But
Don't
a lot of people
engage.
moan, don't they? They complain about stuff all the time, and that creates that energy. of things going bad, and then they'll say to you, "Oh, this sort of thing always happens to me," and it's a strange sort of thing. So, whereas now I've sort of shifted to becoming more grateful, even when I had no work coming in and no money, I was grateful still for the money that I did have, and the energy of that meant that my situation changed, I think, far more rapidly than if I'd have been moaning about the fact and despairing over the fact that I was going through this period of time without it.
I can think of a story actually that actually did happen, which is really just comes back to my mind now. When I was with my daughter Olivia, we'd just been shopping, and she said to me, "I want this cuddly toy," and I said, "Well, kind of. We've done it all now. You've got your prezzies, and that's kind of it. Money doesn't grow on trees, the old sort of saying." And it was really funny. We walked away from the town centre, and she was sort of semi-happy with the things she had, but thinking of the prize she didn't have. And I said, "Look, that kind of trying to do some kind of value lessons and things on what we're talking about. Say, if, and this is honestly the case, this is honestly a story.
Yeah.
If money grew on trees, we could just help ourselves and go back shopping again." And, I was saying, if we had that extra £10, you could have I think it was Foxy the furry fiddly thing. I don't know. God knows it was called, that she really wanted. And seriously, we were walking away from town. I'll never forget this. And as we were walking, in the corner of my eye, I saw kind of like an object on the ground, and I thought, "That's strange. I'm sure that looks like it is." And I said, "Olivia, what's that on the ground?" She picked it up. It was a £10 note.
Oh wow! Yeah.
I was like, "Now."
Yeah.
And she said, "But you said money doesn't grow on trees." I said, "It doesn't grow on trees, but it does grow obviously on the concrete, out of the concrete."
Yeah.
And so we took this £10. We were looking at each other, and we went back to get her thing. But wow, I mean, it was almost like you could put that in a film script, and it would be, that doesn't really happen, but this really did. And so every time now we look at Foxy, I think she's called it, that's almost like a gift from the heavens or something. It's really bizarre.
It is. That it totally works because it does change the energy around you with that idea of gratitude, and it's something that's written in. Florence Scovel Shinn writes lots of books about being grateful for what you already have, and grateful. And also, if you want something, you start speaking as if you've already got it, and then it comes into your life, into your reality. You imagine that you already have it. But I did the same. A similar thing happened to me a couple of months ago, and money. I've changed my attitude to money. I used to really fear it, and I dread going into my bank account and seeing it. I'd always think I'll never be able to have lots of money. It's not, somebody like me doesn't get to do that. But I've changed my perspective on it and been grateful for what I've got. And money, I've started to become an attractor, because I went to the supermarket and there was 20 quid on the floor and there was nobody around. There was nobody. I couldn't say, "Oh, I think you've dropped your money."
But Zach, it's your moral duty to report it in. Did you just swipe it?
I took it. I said thank you and was grateful for it. And I used it for something good. And then the other day, there was a £1 coin on the ground as well. And my partner's like, "Blimey, you just seem to attract it." But even if I find 10p, it's like, "Thank you. This is amazing."
I remember that, Zach. When I hook up with you next, I'll be carrying you around like some kind of money detector in the park.
I'll be like the Hoover.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about the how that blends into our theme today, which is paying it forward. And for those of you probably who've seen the film with Kevin Spacey, that was one of the things that came into our mind, the concept of something happening, maybe a tragedy or something really challenging happening in your life, and somebody coming along to save the day somehow. and share something with you to make all the difference. And then it's kind of in your duty or your care to make sure that you pass that service, favour, or whatever it is on to somebody else that might need it. So we've kind of led this in from picking money off the streets, as we do. Obviously, we do attract money. But now I'm going to talk about the idea. Can you think of any other example of pay it forward that comes to mind?
The strong one for me when I was thinking about this was the film "It's a Wonderful Life" with James Stewart, which is a beautiful film, and now it's become a sort of Christmas classic. But it's about kindness, and it's about helping others and helping your community. And basically, he plays a good banker, or he keeps their mutual funds or whatever it is, up against the one who is obviously the crook, the nasty banker. But he helps all the people in the community. And then when he suffers, I think they lose some money or something, and he's going to have to close his bank. Everybody pulls together and helps him to keep his business open. And I think that's it, because if somebody does a kindness to you, it's important then that you follow suit and do a kindness, and you start this sort of flow of being kind. And it ties in with gratitude, because being kind, we live in a very negative world. You just have to look at the news at the moment, and there's lots of negative stuff going on. If we had a bit more kindness and a bit more compassion with each other, I think that could make a huge change to everything. But it starts with yourself. I think it starts with.
Of course, it does. Yeah.
Who you are.
And as I said, I think before, if you sort of focus on something positive or good in your life, and you think about it, it just lifts you up. You can feel it inside of you. It lifts you up and opens you up to all kinds of opportunities and possibilities. I think this is very true. I was also thinking not just of, we talk about in this podcast, we talk about creativity and expression, because for both of us, those are key values, key parts of our podcast. So we tend to refer to music and films and creativity and art and stuff like this, as kind of references. But bearing in mind this idea of paying it forward, I also want to just recall a mentor of mine, somebody that I met that also did this kind of service or this kind of interaction with me when I was at a stage where I really was closed to all these kind of things, and you can get locked into your own world. And somehow, for some unknown reason, this person came into my world. I was given an opportunity to do some lecturing, because I was working in the corporate sector when I was overseas, and I got invited to do a guest lecture, which I was petrified about, to be perfectly honest with you. But I had prepared for it, and I kind of did a good job, and everybody enjoyed it, and I really engaged with the students. And it kind of turned my perspective and my outlook. But this person really became somebody that shaped and restructured my world at the time and pointed me in a different direction. Didn't have to do it. Obviously, we got on with each other, but he did take a kind of mentor, a view of helping me go back to school, re-educate myself, told me that I could do whatever I wanted to do, and gave me some self-belief, again. And I think when people come into your life completely, unexpectedly almost, this is quite a wonderful thing. And I think if all of us, while we're listening to this, can recall or think through somebody that's come into your lives or our lives that has made an impact like that, to be able to do that to somebody else is is another way of paying forward in a really positive way. Can you relate to that, Zach? Have you got anything that you can think of, or anybody that comes to your mind that?
Yeah, that is definitely definitely a thing, and because we're looking at the kindness element of life and our relationship with each other, you're doing it. You're not doing it for any other reason than you want to do it, and I think that's really lovely when you meet people like that, and it makes me want to then be that same sort of person with other people and help in any small way that I can. You offer some help and guidance or whatever, but coming from a place of kindness. Because if it comes from a place of well, I'll do it, but I'm going to charge you £1,000, or and that's when it starts to become veer into the negative side. And I can honestly say that the best manager I've ever worked with, he was a theatre manager, and he was one of the kindest, most supportive people who showed you how things were done rather than told you to do stuff. Some of the worst managers just said, go off and do that, and you had no other instruction than that.
But that's usually through an organisation that's run by fear, and there's no real altruistic view other than just, the payment, the profit, the outcome. But if you're doing something, I think we also talked before that we went live, we talked about a film that was very similar to the one you mentioned called Dave the Banker, I think it was, which was on Netflix, which was just, I would never have watched it. I think my brother told me about it and I watched it. It was really, really very good. But again, there's somebody, if you watch this film, or if you're interested, it's a similar story to the one Zach had mentioned earlier, but about a community and a guy that helps people in their businesses and gives them advice, and support and financial advice and financial support too. And he goes through his own journey of trying to become a banker, a proper banker, with a community behind him and people who are obviously out there to stop him and cause problems. But I think if it comes from the right place, and this is the whole point of that film, that somebody's doing something for the greater good rather than for his own gains, then great things can come from that. So I think that was really the point of that idea anyway. It was really, really touching, that kind of idea that somebody that goes into business to not just make money, but to actually help and support people. I think that's really something special.
I think it's definitely very special. It's something that we don't really, when it happens and we see it happening in a film or in real life, it always touches people and makes them smile or makes them feel good. But we tend not to promote it, or it's we're almost, you're taught to be in competition rather than to be in support of each other. Certainly, at school you're taught to be the best, the top of the league, or and that's, I don't think that's life. I think life is about community and support, not about being you can be the best person you want to be, but that best person is about being kind and good-natured and and strong in those ways rather than strong in aggression and negativity. But I kind of feel that school kind of doesn't teach you that in a way. Maybe it's changing now.
I don't know. There are people that are very inspired by some of their teachers and inspired by, the direction, the support, the encouragement. There are some great teachers out there, and some, there are great schools. But it is. I think things are lost. I think there's a lot of lost people. We're in a kind of a lost culture at the moment. We really, identity-wise, where we're going, what we're doing, everyone's blindly sort of existing or coexisting, and I think there is a change coming. There is a change. This is clear to me. I don't know what it will be. I'm not Nostradamus. Zach's eyes like some, but there is obviously something happening underneath all of this.
I think you're right, and that change should be positive and grateful and loving, and all sorts of
Grateful Change, Zach. I've never heard of that one before.
Grateful
But
Change.
not the Grateful Dead, but the Grateful
Yeah,
Change.
yeah,
Name for a band. So anyway, let's round this up now today,
yes,
because really I think we've kind of agreed that our pods will really be a 20-minute. That's what we've kind of
yeah,
kept it to always, and the lives really were going to be briefer than
yeah.
that. But today, it's gone on. We are around. You can find us, as you will find this on our podcast. You can always, we want you to engage. We want to hear from you, your ideas, suggestions, stories relating to topics we're covering, obviously. But in terms of contacting us, you can email us at markandzacintro@gmail.com. You can see on the yellow band underneath. We are on, what are we on next, Zach? What are you going to whack across the screen
Facebook.
now? We're on Facebook, at Hip Not to Be Square. We've got a little teeny community that we are doing things with, and we're going to evolve this into something else, but yet it will evolve organically into the next stage. And yes, you can see us in all our glory on, this is my favorite one, youtube.com at Mark and Zach are out. We are out.
We're out.
In whatever respect that means, we are out.
Yeah. We're never in.
Well, yeah. And this is the podcast. You can find us on outsiders.buzzsprout.com. And for those of you who are just joining us going, what the, is this? We have been broadcasting now, certainly on our podcast, for over a year now, with 60 odd podcasts, with I think about 5 other series, all focusing around introspection clearly, but about looking at life from a different perspective, out of body experiences, feeling a bit detached, feeling a bit remote from your own world, your own environment, looking at things from slightly different perspectives for different reasons. There's loads of different reasons. We've covered all of those mostly in the different pods. But if you're interested and you'd like to dive in and hear some of them, under the banner there, you can go to our Buzzsprout feed, or in fact go on Spotify or Apple or Google. Was it Google? I think we're on so many platforms now, but we're there, and we are really trying to evolve this now into kind of a community and places where we can do events and start to meet people physically rather than being on a screen. So stay tuned, keep involved, and if you like this, thumbs up, subscribe, all the things that we do online, but keep showing us that you're interested and engage with us. We'd love to hear from you, and of course we will respond to you too. Zach, any final thoughts?
Most definitely.
Colonel Sanders?
No, I echo all of that, and please do get in touch, and good to chat as always. I hope that this episode can help to change our listeners or viewers' perspectives on the world. Starts with yourself.
It does. I feel like Basil Brush. It does. All right. Well, anyway, it's been good speaking with you again, Zach. I'll see you again for another episode next week. And thanks everyone for watching and listening. Stay tuned, and we will see you in this space next week, I guess.
Indeed. See you then. Bye.
See you. Bye-bye.